Oh, hi guys. I I found this book. I don't know, guy named D.B. McCrae. Okay, let me read this before we get into today's educational seminar. 12 ways to spot an incompetent police officer. Number 3, they are consistently rude and unprofessional, making no effort to conceal their disdain for or from the public. These are the officers who escalate contacts for no reason and enjoy playing the role of antagonist even during a routine contact. They can single-handedly destroy any attempt to establish or restore relationships within the community. By their actions, rude and unprofessional officers make their communities less safe. That may be one of the most important things that this D.B. McCrae fella has, that he wrote about in this book I found. I guess it's Rise of the Oathbreakers Part 2, America's Crisis of Competency in Law Enforcement. I think he might be on to something. By their actions, rude and unprofessional officers make their communities less safe. I don't think that that's been pushed before. And that, I think, is a devastating truism. Oh, I don't know if you can read that. Every once in a while I get kind of a wild follicle and I make these t-shirts. So this one reads, I have no problem turning control of my life over to an 18-year-old college student. They are wise beyond their years, aren't they? And then I have DBM. There you go. All these t-shirts, they get tighter all the time. I hate when cars drive by. I gotta do something. Oh, they kept going. They know better than to stop. Two stories. All kidding aside, okay? To give folks an idea of what it means to be professional, to treat people right, to treat them with respect. They're human beings and they deserve and have earned respect. And that's the premise you begin a contact with. If they take it to a different level, even then you have a responsibility to keep yourself under control. So 2 stories, it's not like they revolutionize the world, but there's so many lessons in these stories. And the one that I want people to remember is that when a law enforcement officer makes contact with a member of the public, and we'll just say in a law enforcement setting, they piss that person or those people off, they have ruined any attempt to establish a relationship or rapport with officers who follow up. That's what happened here, but as I found out, almost as an afterthought, I was able to break through that. I think you're going to find these stories interesting. I hope so. There's another car coming. Okay, while I'm waiting for it to go by, this seems like a pretty good book. Here we go. Let's travel 2,000 miles west to the state of South Dakota. And this is Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's where I was stationed from 1990 to 1997. This is a picture I took when I was up in my paraglider. And off to the left, you see the white arrow. That's where the state pen is. Not that it plays any role in this. I just thought I'd point it out. All right, the whirligig there, that's the area where the first story takes place. And that's the Sioux River. That's actually a diversion channel coming down. That's like a great big sluice. I mean, it comes down there fast. And then it dumps into the big Sioux River. Okay, each one of those whirligigs represent a pair of anglers. 2 by the vehicle and then 2 farther down, toward the river. And it was the two closer to the river, they're down and to the right, that I made contact with first. And then after I was done chatting with those fellows, I went up to talk to the two anglers up by the white van. The contact with the two anglers there at the lower right went very well. They were legal, and it was a real relaxed conversation. And one of the things I tried to do every time I made contact was to let folks know that my time was their time, that I worked for them, and that I'd avail myself, to answer questions as long as they wanted to ask questions. And I told them that I said, I said, this is the way, I wish every contact went. You guys have been awesome, and I just really appreciate it. And we shook hands. Well, then I walked down to check the other two anglers, and, well, one was fishing. The other one, no, he was just sitting there, and no rod and reel. I'd seen him fish, but no rod and reel. Well, he had me, because without a rod and reel, I had nothing to connect him to fishing. I had no idea. I wasn't watching. I had no idea what he did with it. I figured he might have just dropped it in the river. I mean, if he had been fishing with an old Zepco 202 duct taped to a busted fiberglass rod, it'd be a lot easier to replace that than, to pay a fine for fishing on a license. None of which meant I was ready to give up. I got him in my truck, and I was interviewing him and trying to get him to fess up, and getting nowhere. I suppose I was talking to him for 3-4 minutes, and I go, I got to kick him loose. I'm not going to detain him any longer. He isn't going to fess to anything, and I don't have anything. So just about the time I was ready to tell him that, I looked to my left, and standing there was one of the anglers from the first pair I checked. And before I could say anything, just with this deadpan delivery, he said, word for word, I hate cops, but you're different. Beneath a car makes a good place to hide a fishing pole. And just like that, he turned on his heels, went back to his buddy, and went back to fishing. So I ended up, get out of the truck, let's take a walk, and I seized the fishing pole that I had him retrieve from underneath the white van, wrote the ticket, and I never saw my new friend again. I hate cops, but you're different. See how it works? Treat people with respect, and you're probably going to get respect in return. Treat people like human beings, they might just help you out. I hate cops, but you're different. I'm going to go ahead and hold off on the second story to the next video. And I think there's going to be a third video. I might have a fourth and a fifth video. I think the stories are interesting. Wouldn't it be nice if more officers actually figured out that they treat people right, the people will treat them right in return? It's not complicated. You guys take care. See ya.